Welcome to the Saints That Serve podcast,
where each week your hosts dive into the crossroads of faith,
culture,
and the unknown. Christ is Lord,
and the kingdom is now. We are the Saints That Serve.
Welcome to the Saints That Serve podcast with your host. My name is Johnny.
And my name is Johnny.
All right. Which one is which? Can you tell by our voices?
I'm Johnny number one.
And I'm the real Johnny.
So you know when you do username, I'm Jairus. So you know when you do when you do usernames,
Yeah.
it's always like the first one without a number is the real one, and then the second one that has any kind of number, even if it's number one, is not the original one.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. There, it's
There
my
you go.
username, and you're just the real Johnny.
Just Johnny and then Johnny number one. Which, you know, it's like I feel like I should have the right to, you know what? We'll talk about it later.
In what conversation?
I don't know. It'll come up organically, maybe. We'll see. We'll be super old and we'll be like sitting in like a retirement home like, hey, I think I should be Johnny number one.
Do you remember that time 82 years ago when we were talking? Yeah, we're over 100 at that point.
I'm impressed with future us.
Yeah, we really got our butts in gear and got healthy.
I'm also impressed with our logistical coordination between our families that our kids would both put us in the same retirement home.
No, it's just going to be this house still. You're still living in it 82 years later.
Oh, don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, you're still sitting there like, I got to go get the wall put up in the extra red room upstairs.
Just a 90-something-year-old man's like, I still got 10 projects left to finish on this house. Oh, man.
Welcome to episode 28 of the Saints That Serve podcast.
Heck yeah, 2 away from 30.
Yes, right. We're getting close to our actual ages.
That's right. The decades.
The decades.
Our third decade. We're getting close to it.
That's right.
Anyways.
Do you ever have you heard about that logic that it's like the 20, say it's like 21 years, but that's your third decade?
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The logic of it is that we're now
We've entered our third decade.
We've entered our third decade, even though we're another 10 years away from being in our third decade.
Yeah.
So right now we are, even better of an example. The podcast is now 2 years, not 2 years old, 2 years.
You mean 2 decades?
No, the actual length of the podcast, not the number of episodes.
Oh.
Because we started in 2024 and now it's 2025. We are now 2 years.
Oh, okay. You went,
completely different direction.
I was like, I don't think your math is mathing.
It might not be.
Anyways, so announcements.
We got announcements, guys.
Not a lot, but we got them. Big, exciting things happening the first week of April. Do you know what it is? I know you know what it is.
April Fool's Day.
That's right, April Fools. We are also on April the 4th going to be doing our first live stream worship night.
That's right.
So make sure that you're following us on social media, on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads, YouTube.
We will be streaming that on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
Correct. Yep. So make sure you're following us on any platform to get up to date, but then we will be on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook with the live stream. It'll be about an hour long of just worship music that we'll be playing just to try and, help people get into the weekend with their hearts filled with the Spirit of the Lord. So make sure to tune in, and we'll be posting updates on that through our social accounts. And if you need prayer for anything,
that starts at 7 o'clock.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
You're good.
It starts at 7 p.m. on April the 4th, which is a Friday night.
So if y'all want to come hang out in the chat beforehand, the actual stream will start at 6:30.
Yep.
And we'll have kind of some lead up countdown But the actual worship night starts at 7, though the stream technically starts at 6:30.
Yeah, there'll be a countdown on the screen, but then we'll be live in the chat board where you can make comments and we'll be responding to them. And
yeah, we'll be chatting with you at that point.
Yep.
So come chat with us and then come worship with us.
Amen.
The saints that worship.
The saints that worship. That's right.
Is that our music channel if we ever start that?
Yeah. If we ever get into music, it'll be the saints that worship.
Speaking of worship, Pray for You Friday.
Yes, Pray for You Friday. We're doing it every Friday. If you need prayer for anything, you can reach out to us at the Saints That Serve Pod on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, or you can reach out to us on Twitter or X, if you will, STS Ministry, or you can email us at thesaintsthatserve@gmail.com. Again, that's thesaintsthatserve@gmail.com. Or if you scroll to the bottom of the description for this episode,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say any platform you're on.
Any platform that you're on, then there's a link for a SMS messaging option. It'll just pull you up in a text thread on your phone, and you'll be able to text us a prayer request, and we will get it, and we will read it, and we will pray for you.
So these prayers are not public. This is not a public type thing. This is a private time that we are praying for you,
our listeners.
So don't think that this is something that we are going to call out and sit there and talk about on the podcast. That's none of that. This is strictly the Saints That Serve team praying for our community.
That's right.
Privately.
That's right.
Unless you specifically say that you want your prayer request.
Hey, tell everybody about
tell everybody about that. No.
So that's pretty much it for our announcements. Shout out once again to Ashley for commenting on episode 26.
Mm-hmm.
I think adding short form content from the podcast is a great idea sorry, I had to open the full time. For the podcast clips.
Keep in mind, John doesn't know how to read.
That's right. We'll probably have to add some words and some background imagery. This is all. Thank you, Ashley. It's a great comment, and thank you for commenting. It's literally just
a lot of suggestions,
giving suggestions on what we should do, and they're all great suggestions, and we will figure out how to do them. I guess what I'm getting at is great comment, great information, but I don't know if everyone wants to sit here and listen to me slowly read.
He sounded out.
Yeah. I think
cat.
I think that's the most recent as far as
comments. I believe so.
We have anything else, but if you comment on our stuff, we read them and we want to give you a shout out. So
we read them very slowly.
Yes, very slowly with a lot of thought.
And a lot of, you got to think about what you're reading. So
exactly.
A lot of thought.
Think it through.
Sound it out.
Think it through, Stu. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into them.
Can we talk about that?
Further to do?
Yeah.
You were right.
I know I'm right.
I don't have any issues with you being right.
It's really funny to me.
Okay.
It was so funny how quick in the episode you just skirted away from that hazing in the very quickly. I'm just you made a huge mistake, and you're like, yeah, I did. All right, moving on.
Okay, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Let's linger more on when I make mistakes.
It sounds great.
Let's make sure that we just draw it out.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's here for anyway.
Yes. So draw out your reading and draw out the mean jokes.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds great to me. I actually think our viewership will increase because of that.
More than likely.
Yep. So you heard it here first. The Saints That Serve like to make fun of John for all his mistakes.
But we are the Saints That Serve.
That's right.
You also make fun of yourself?
Yeah, I am self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Self-deprecation.
No breathing.
Don't give a honeysuckle plant if I cut my arm bleeding.
This is my last book report.
This is my last vacation resort.
That is my last retort.
Are we ready now? The people want to hear the meat.
The meat of the film?
Of the foom.
So we're going to play Facebook Marketplace Madness.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Just so I need to clarify. This is not our main topic tonight.
It's not.
We were building it up like it was. So, Tyler, this is your transition into
our mini game, Facebook Marketplace
Foom.
Madness. Foom. So it's just one, but this one, it's okay. So it's bad, but it's funny. So I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace getting material for the segment.
Correct.
And so I click on this, and I'm going to give you two things. I'm going to give you the title.
Okay.
And then I'm going to give you what I didn't know you could do. I'm going to play a video.
What?
Facebook Marketplace can play videos.
Oh, I mean, I knew that.
I mean, within the ad, you can upload videos.
Yeah.
So this started playing, and I'm like, what in the world? So I'm going to give you the title, the video.
Okay.
The actual item is not funny like we usually like to do on this segment.
Yeah.
But the video is to me.
Okay.
So if it's not, we'll cut this whole thing out.
Okay.
But so the title is Boat for Sale.
Okay. Boat for sale.
And here is the video.
Hi, I'm trying to sell my husband's boat. He died last week, and I hope somebody can buy the boat. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't believe watching that, right? That she is trying to sell her husband's boat after him being dead for a week.
That just put a huge bummer on the podcast.
I'm just like watching. I'm like, this is so sad.
Is she selling it for $200?
No, it's more than $200.
Oh,
To me, the reason why I'm doing this is it seems fake and a lie.
$500.
You're still incredibly off.
$13,000.
You are now over.
$8,000. $9,000.
I'm giving hand motions to John now.
$8,500.
$8,500.
Really?
Yeah. That's why I'm just like,
What kind of boat is it?
I don't have that detail.
Oh.
Because I took a screen grab or recording of her talking.
You notice how much time I spent, like, talking about how much of a bummer it was compared to how much time I tried to figure out the info on the boat?
Yeah, it's really a bummer. So what kind of boat is this and how much is it?
So what's the engine on the back of that bad boy?
Glastron? Glastron?
Is that the name of the person?
That's the name. Yeah, that's her name. No.
If you want to find out, go ask her yourself. It's Miss Glastrom.
No, that's the brand of the boat was a Glastron. Glastron.
I don't actually know boats, so it's okay. It doesn't matter
Okay.
to me.
If anybody wants a Glastron boat, contact this lady. She's selling it. Her husband died. It's awful.
You know what? Yeah. Reach out to Jairus and ask him for the info, and he'll get you hooked up.
If you want a dead man's $8,500 boat.
Well, don't bring... I mean, it's not the boat's fault. Or maybe...
Maybe you don't know. It might have been a boat accident. She didn't say.
This is getting really dark really quick. All right. Well, you know what? That was great.
Yeah.
Let's move on. All right, Tyler, this is your transition. Now we're going to move into
The topic.
the topic.
The main topic of this episode, which is a reoccurring topic of this episode.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of this episode, I was like, I don't think we've ever talked about this.
Yeah, you remember when I said reoccurring topic of this episode? That's what I meant was a reoccurring topic of this episode.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So when you were talking, you meant that it was a reoccurring topic of this episode.
Yeah, so the reoccurring topic of this episode is going to be the topic that we're going to do, Pokémon!
So just so we're clear, the reoccurring topic of this episode will be reoccurring in this episode.
Yes, in this episode strictly.
Okay, let's go.
Pokemon Go?
Anyways, yeah, Pokemon. Yay! What do you know about Pokemon, Juris?
Me personally, a lot.
Really? Really cool.
A reoccurring topic in my life.
Good to know. So you've You've messed around with it once or twice.
Or
How many
100, 200,000 times.
to get to relate to all the 90s moms? How many Pocket Monsters you got in your pocket?
No, it's Pokemon.
No, Pocket Monsters.
Yeah, Pocket Monsters, but how's that relating to the...
Because all the
90s.
Christian 90 moms that like didn't want their kids to play Pokemon, their one argument was, if you translate it, it means pocket monsters. Do you want monsters in your pocket?
No, and the people who supported it but didn't actually, or not support it but allowed it, called it Pokemon.
Pokemon. Yeah.
But yeah, Pocket Monsters.
Yeah, because it was like a really hot thing in our house for 1 week.
Really?
Yeah, because like we like watched an episode or two, and then we kind of started getting into like the cards and stuff, and we're like, "Wow, this is awesome!" And then a week later, Mom actually did some research into what it was, and she was like, "Nope,
Threw them all in the trash.
Pokemon means pocket monster. We're not going to have monsters in our pockets." and then
you threw away about $2 million worth of cards. Not today's prices.
I think that we got like between all four of us boys, we just got one pack of cards, and we're just kind of like playing with one pack together.
Mm-hmm.
And then and because we didn't have enough money to get more, that devolved into us creating our own cards. So we would sit down with paper and we'd like create our own Pokemon and I give it stats and stuff and then like cut it out like it was a card. And
so you played Pokemon, but you just played your fake Pokemon.
yeah, we played the Temu Pokemon for a week.
The 90s Temu Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like a bit in itself. 90s Temu Pokemon.
And it's just grown men cutting out pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Drawing poorly with crayons Pokemon on pieces of paper.
And then laminating it.
Laminating it. So on that topic, how
many people have a laminator in their house? What's the percentage?
Do you have a stat for that?
No.
Okay. No, I was going to say the craze of the Pokemon cards is as large as it has ever been, if not bigger than the 90s craze.
Right now?
Right now.
Jeez.
You go into a Kroger, have you seen the Pokemon vending machine?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. I've started noticing that, and I was like, huh. So they're trying to like bring it back? But it's not they're trying to, it's just...
It's always been here.
Yeah.
That's the thing is Pokemon has never... What am I trying to say? It has never gotten as a whole out of the craze.
Yeah.
It's just the people who were in the craze in the 90s grew out of it. And so it created that illusion for a lot of people that craze and that fad went away. It never went away.
Well, yeah, I think that the market number is like around 50 billion in worldwide sales to this date.
Pokemon is the highest grossing property ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which...
Because you have cards, video games, movies, games, apps, Pokemon Go, like all this nonsense. Plushies, yeah.
Puzzles.
All just merchandise. Yeah, seriously, merchandise in general, shirts, all this nonsense. It is did you say speakers?
Sneakers,
yeah, sneakers.
Speakers.
They just announced yesterday a collaboration with Lego, so they're going to have Lego Pokemon toys coming out.
To be honest, I'm surprised that
it hasn't already.
Well,
they had the Lego Mario sets.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so now they're going with Lego Pokemon, which I think they will be less interactive like the Mario sets were.
Yeah.
Where you could play with them like actual toys and create your own levels and play those levels with Legos. Mm-hmm. I think these are just going to be the display Legos.
The real question is, when are we going to get a Lego Bomberman set?
Never. It'd always blow up while playing with it.
Or maybe if they put it on the market, it would blow up. See what I did there?
So you came to me.
Okay.
With this idea, ironically, because I'm the one who...
So we're all clear. I came up with this idea.
John came up with this episode's topic. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Let's get into it.
And that was maybe 3 or 4 days ago of this recording. Mm-hmm. And you're like, man, let's do it. Let's do this where, we talk about Pokemon and we debate on whether or not it's good for Christians or not to interact with the Pokemon brand. I'm like, let's do it. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so I called you today and I'm like, all right, I'm on the way to your house. I've got 13 pages of notes. And you're like, I wrote down some stuff.
Yeah, I've got. Okay, to be clear, I researched Pokemon for about 2 hours today, so I've got a page of notes, but the information is like in my head. That's how I do it. Like I read a lot of stuff, and then like key points, I jot down something to remember the key point. So my notes are really condensed, but it's from all the info that I reviewed.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
To get into it real quick, I don't know if you can tell, Johnny doesn't have that much knowledge with Pokemon. I've been playing Pokemon since I was 8. So
to be clear, Johnny has, as of today, the most information about Pokemon that he has ever had in his entire life.
To be fair, and for all who want to know it, everything I had on this piece of paper came from my brain. No, I'm kidding.
Just so we're clear, I am the real reason that they created Pokemon. No. All right.
So, disclaimer on this. So, again, playing Pokemon my whole life, and I still do. Yep. I'll still play the games. They have a new Pokemon trading card game app that I play every day.
Okay. So, you would say that you're a big Satoshi Tashihari fan?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The creator of Pokemon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
After doing my research and looking into this and comparing it to the Bible, like, and the morals and what am I trying to say? The things we should do as Christians.
Yes.
And the data.
Yes.
Pokemon, I don't know about that game.
This is, okay, I'm looking forward to getting into this. Okay.
So we came to one another and said, all right, we're going to come up with arguments for engaging with Pokemon. Like, hey, this is why it's okay to play Pokemon. And then arguments on why you shouldn't, as a Christian, be playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or interact. I want to say interacting because, again, it's the largest media IP that there ever was.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways to interact with Pokemon.
Yeah.
So you can't just say play Pokemon.
Correct. Yeah. I want to be clear, though, that when I'm presenting an argument for it tonight, it's not from me personally. This is my personal argument for it. This is the best I could come up with. This is me taking the stance of just a average evangelical American, okay, that goes to church once a week on Sunday and does not read their Bible, but has a couple of Bible verses on standby, okay? So someone who's not really devoutly pursuing Christ, but someone who's affiliated with Christianity, because that's the only way that I could come up with an argument for, okay? I hate to be that way, but.
So the way we should do this is we'll both present a for argument and then against argument. I personally have 5.
Okay.
We don't have to do them all.
No, I want to hear yours first for the 4.
Okay. So for the first one I have here, Pokemon fosters creativity, problem solving, and community interaction. The concept of training and bonding with Pokemon promotes imaginative storytelling and interactive learning. Fans often create artwork, fan fiction, and even animations inspired by their favorite creatures. Games like Pokemon Legends Arceus offer players the chance to explore the Pokemon world in a historical setting, fostering curiosity about world building and lore. And I have Bible verses to back up my points.
Okay.
Yeah. So Philippians 4, verse 8, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things.
Okay.
So 4, it's imaginative. It promotes imagination and creativity.
Yep.
So what you writing there, bud?
I forgot to write down these verses, so I got to write them.
He got verses. I have to have verses.
No, I had some for the 4, but for the against, I didn't write those down.
I have verses for everything.
Yep. As we should.
Yes, we should. So what is your 4?
Okay. So my 4 is very close to yours. Like, it's in the game, or the original Game Boy games, it does promote kind of a community. It's one of the first games that kind of promotes inter-cooperative gameplay. So it creates community. it promotes competition because you can battle each other.
You can battle, you can trade.
Yep. And then
start fights over those trades because you stole your brother's Game Boy and traded all his good Pokemon over to you.
Yep. And the Pokemon Go, it promotes people getting out into the world and walking around and, finding new areas in the real world while playing the augmented, right? The TV show promoted teamwork and friendship. There is an aspect of creativity in there. And then the Bible verse that I had for it was Galatians 5:1a. For freedom, Christ has set us free. So that's the idea, is we're no longer bound to slavery or to be like, you can do this, you can't do this, you can do this, you can't do this. We're free in Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 Corinthians 10:23, all things are lawful, not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. So, it's not that it's against the law as a Christian to play Pokemon, but you just got to gauge, is it beneficial to me? Is it helpful to me? Does it build up? Is it creative? Does it help me in some way? So those are the arguments you could take with those two Bible verses.
Mm-hmm. So you want me to start with my negatives?
Oh boy, do I.
Oh, here we go. Because again, it's bad.
Yeah, go for it.
The bad side of Pokemon, bro, for a Christian, is awful.
Yeah.
After looking at it, I've always known these things, but it's like after doing deeper research into the deep lore of Pokemon, it's crazy. So, avoiding idolatry. Some argue that Pokemon introduces god-like entities that could be perceived as promoting idolatry. Pokemon like Arceus, described as the god of Pokemon, could lead to confusion or discomfort for Christians mindful of the first commandment. The concern is that engaging with fictional representations of divinity could diminish reverence for God. And my Bible verse is Exodus 20, verse 3. You shall have no other gods before me. Bang. Boom.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have for that one.
Okay. Do I do another?
No, you would now do a negative.
A negative? Okay.
Yeah.
So the Bible makes it clear that we're not supposed to be like imitators of the world, right? We're supposed to be imitators of Christ. And so embodying just things that the world does just for the sake of entertainment isn't truly living in Christ. I mean, the creator of Pokemon even said in an interview that our game's not really compatible with a Christian lens. I'm paraphrasing how he said it, but because the game takes on that, they're openly saying like, yeah, we took inspiration from Eastern Asian mythology.
Yeah.
And these things don't line up with the Christian faith. And so if you're trying to look at Pokemon through the lens of Christian faith, you might have an issue with it. But our game's not bad. It's fun and free for people or whatever is the way he worded it, kind of.
Initially, he created Pokemon based off of his childhood of going into the woods and catching
insects.
Yep.
Yeah, which was what I was going to use for a for argument, is that like the creation of it was not some dark, sinister thing. It was just a joy of video games and a childhood hobby of collecting and identifying insects.
Yeah.
So John 17, I've got 15 through 21. I don't think I'm going to read all that, but the idea is that it's like, don't take them out of the world. Let them stand out from the world while they live in it. So I do not ask that you take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, so I have sent them into the world. And for their sake, I consecrate myself, that they also may be sanctified in truth. Yeah, so that was Jesus talking about his apostles. He's going to send them out into the world, but be sanctified. They're not of the world, just like Christ is not of the world. And so we take that mentality of we are not of this world. And so we shouldn't embody the things of this world. We should embody Christ. We should embrace that sanctification that only comes from God. And we'll find that. And this is all, so let me clarify. This is all hinging on the idea that there is an actual demonic force that is active within the realm of Pokemon. So at surface level, it's just a game. Mm-hmm. It's just a TV series. It's just a form of entertainment. But when you start using spiritual discernment in the spiritual realm, what is the essence or the spirit that hovers around the idea of Pokemon? What is going in hand with the paraphernalia, with the games, with the trading cards? What is it? Because the spiritual world is, I mean, it's like what we've talked about in the past. It's like the Upside Down from Stranger Things. Like it's a mirrored realm, right? It's going hand in hand with what's going on here. So what is clouding over Pokemon? Is it the spirit of light and truth, or it is a more nefarious spirit?
Right.
So that's the discernment we have to use. And I would argue that there's not the spirit of light and truth hovering over the world of Pokemon. I would say that it is very much of this world, even though it's not like super blatantly dark and ominous, it still has a spiritual force that is moving in it. And so what is that spiritual force? I would say that it's of the world. And as Christians, we need to be set apart.
Right. So for my positive, many Pokemon stories promote friendship, loyalty, and perseverance. Characters like Ash Ketchum often display qualities of courage, resilience, and selflessness, sacrificing for the sake of his friends and Pokemon. His determination to help others exemplifies positive moral lessons. And my Bible verse that supports that is Galatians 5:22-23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law.
There you go.
There you go. So what's your positive one, big guy?
It was that what we talked about earlier, that the original inspiration for the game wasn't from some sort of dark occult that was like, go into the world and make a video game worthy of Satan. Like it was just a young man who enjoyed a hobby of getting out into nature and collecting and identifying insects, and then thought like, hey, it would be fun to incorporate that into a video game. So yeah, I think that Satoshi, I think that it wasn't from a dark, nefarious place. I think he was just trying to incorporate a bunch of his different likes and enjoyments to make it an enjoyable game.
Yeah.
Right. So, but from that original inspiration, he created, with the help of, other designers, like I think the main one was Ken Sugimori. He was the creative director for Red, Green, and Blue.
Yeah. So Red, Green, and Blue is the original release games in Japan.
Yeah.
And then we got Red, Blue, and Yellow here.
Okay.
So they always, Pokemon history or patterns. They will release 2 games when a new Pokemon generation comes out. And there will be slight differences between the games, but it's typically the same story, the same structure. And the difference is so that people can interact with one another. So, I can't get this Pokemon in Red, but you can in Blue. You have to trade to get them all.
Got it. Yeah.
100% you have to trade. That way it promotes that community within Pokemon.
Sure. Yep.
So, and then what they'll do is a couple of years after those 2 pair games will come out, then they'll come out with it's kind of a director's cut.
Yeah.
For that, Yellow is actually more in line to the story of the anime, where you have Pikachu following you around.
Yeah.
And originally, the characters in the anime are different in the games. Ash isn't the main character. He's original to the anime.
Okay.
Stuff like that. His 2 companions, Misty and Brock, they are in the original games, but they're just gym leaders. They're bosses.
Gotcha. Okay.
But in that game, you have Pikachu following you around. You have the characters from the anime with you. It's not promoting. It is along the lines of the anime, but still playing the same original game at the same time.
Yeah.
The same areas you go to and that kind of sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's, but do you want to talk about the Game Boy cord link real quick?
The link cable?
Yeah. Just for people who don't know.
So back in the day when you had to trade, you didn't have a Wi-Fi signal, something connecting your devices. You had to have your link cable.
Specifically with a Game Boy.
Special cable.
Yeah. But okay, what's a Game Boy for those who don't know?
A Game Boy is a Nintendo handheld device.
Yeah, it's a gaming console that was one of the first, right? One of the first handheld gaming devices. Pretty close, I feel like.
I'm not 100% on that. I don't think so.
No, okay. Well, it was one of the
first major consumer versions.
Yeah. It was the one that everybody had back in the 90s.
So
late 90s.
My first Game Boy was a Game Boy Color.
Mine too. My first Game Boy was a Game Boy Color, and my very first game was Monsters, Inc. Yeah.
Mine was a game called Rats.
Rats with a Z.
It
was fun because it was a Christmas gift, and it was me and two other brothers. We all got Game Boy Colors, and we each got an individual game. So it was like already built in. We had 3 games starting out.
Yeah.
Because we could just, pop a cartridge out, put a cartridge in kind of deal.
So I got Rats, and my brother got Pokemon Blue.
What?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And so I was playing his game, and I messed something up on his game. I'm young. I was young. I was maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8.
Yeah.
And I messed up his game. So not long after that, I got my own copy of Pokemon so I wouldn't have to mess up my brother's.
There you go. That's awesome.
I got Pokemon Red.
Yeah.
Came with a Charizard on the cover.
So so Game Boy was a handheld gaming device, and then there was an option where you could plug a cable from your Game Boy into your friend's Game Boy, and then y'all could share data between your two little handheld consoles.
Right,
that ran on AA batteries.
So sharing data in that sense would have been, you could only trade Pokemon and battle. That's it. Yeah. There wasn't any real true cooperative gameplay in the first game.
Okay.
You would go against one another, and that was it.
That's as far as it went. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my pro, is that the origins of it wasn't nefarious. It was.
Yeah. No, it's you'll hear it in my voice a lot. It's a very fond memory. Thing that me and my brother both played a lot of growing up.
Yeah.
He got out of it. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Anytime a new Pokemon game comes out, I'll still play it.
What do you think your brother's stance is on it now?
It's probably of the devil. He's not wrong, though, to a degree.
We'll get into that. Okay, so what's your against argument?
Occult and spiritual concerns.
Hey! All right, go for it.
Some Pokemon have powers linked to psychic abilities, ghosts, and spiritual elements.
Hey, we've talked about psychic abilities before.
Yeah, we did. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Pokemon like Gengar and Dusknoir are associated with the afterlife and spirits, while Alakazam uses psychic powers, which can be perceived as promoting occult practices. Christians who wish to avoid media that trivializes spiritual warfare may feel uncomfortable with these elements. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer. That's Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 through 12.
Yep. And we've talked about that before too. Like not practicing divination, not practicing sorcery, not doing those things.
Hey, don't do it. Stop it.
Yeah.
Look, it's God. And he says, stop it.
Yeah. That was kind of the thing for me for another big argument against it, is the idea of spiritual warfare. So there's an article that a lady wrote about in my research for Pokemon. I could find very few things that was like, as a Christian, can I play Pokemon? Very few things that was like pro Pokemon as a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the articles was a lady writing about a story that they had gotten from her husband's dad, who was a full-time missionary in South America. And this is hearsay because, once again, I mean, it's a story from an online blogger. Like, who's to say how legit it actually is? But in South America, their father did full-time ministry. He converted a lot of people to Christianity, one of them being a witch doctor from a local village who had reached a certain, like, the pinnacle of the practice. So he was like a level, whatever. But he had the ability to step into the spiritual realm and steal the spirit of a child, and that child in real life would die soon after. And so they called him they called that level, I think he called it like the child eater or something like that, like something really dark, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so this guy, like, that's how deep he is in the occult, being a witch doctor. And he gets converted. He finds deliverance from that bondage of being in the dark. And so he's living with the Christians. He's got a relationship with the missionary. Someone sends him a codex book of the Pokemon when it came out. And basically like, hey, we're having a debate at our church about whether or not we should be involved, like say like it's okay or no, don't do it. And that former witch doctor happened to visit. And so they brought him the book. This witch doctor does not read English, doesn't know what the pages say, but they would open it up and point to a random one, and he would tell you what its spiritual name is and what it would do. And the abilities of the Pokemon were very similar to what the actual spirit would do. And the characteristics were almost identical, because it would be a picture of the Pokemon and the guy would say like, oh yeah, I know what spirit that is. That demon does this.
It's crazy because, spoiler to the episode, we have a corner segment in a little bit coming up that talks about yokai.
Yeah.
Which is a deep inspiration to the designs of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that might be what it is. He's seeing these yokai demons.
Yeah, so that's my argument, is that maybe not every single one of the Pokemon created for the game, but there is a decent amount of them that are taking inspiration from demonic forces that are real, that are active.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, Ephesians 6:12, and it says, this is a classic one. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. And then it goes into taking on the armor of God. But it's that we need to be aware of the spiritual enemy that is around us. Satan is the authority on earth right now, and the only thing that trumps his authority is Christ. And so we are at battle with the authority of this earth, which is Satan, and we invoke the name of Jesus to combat his every conniving, interloping, attacking movement that he does. And we are called to shine the light into people's lives and let them know that Christ will rescue them from the darkness that Satan has authority over, if they will put their faith in Jesus Christ. So that's our battle, and we need to be aware of who we're fighting. And part of that is knowing the demonic forces that are around us. Mm-hmm. So we can't be naive and saying like, oh, it's just to combat the previous argument that I made. Oh, it's just coming from a place of innocence. It's just a game for fun that promotes fun and creativity. Okay, that's great, but it is including demonic forces inside it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So I'm going to go to a negative on this one, even though I'm supposed to be doing a positive, because I want to end on positive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always nice to end on a positive. You know?
Yeah.
So my little segment here is a little long-winded, and that's okay. So bear with me here, all right? So I did a bit of a research
Yes.
on the whole episode, sure. But I looked into correlations, like things that you can tell are inspiration to Pokemon that correlate to the Bible.
Okay.
So I'm going to kind of go through this, and it's more about kind of a very specific kind of line around Pokemon. So there are legendary Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
So those are typically really hard to catch. They're the big ones that you want to get, the end goal Pokemon. In the lore, they're typically of higher power, one way or another.
Okay.
So very specifically, we're going to start with, and again, we're Christians, right?
We are.
We don't worship Pokemon.
Correct.
So, but when talking about it, I'm going to give kind of like a bit of a lore and talk about this line and the connection to all these Pokemon.
Okay.
So, Arceus.
Arceus. Okay.
I mentioned him earlier. It is, I don't know I don't put a gender to Pokemon, but he is in the lore of Pokemon considered the god of Pokemon. He is the creator of Pokemon.
Okay.
Arceus is considered the creator of the Pokemon universe, similar to God in the Bible. Arceus shaped the world and brought forth time, space, and antimatter through the Pokemon. He created these 3 Pokemon, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. This mirrors the concept of God as the creator in Genesis. In Genesis 1, God created the heavens and the earth. Just in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Just a correlation Bible verse.
Okay.
The creation trio, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, the quote-unquote Trinity.
Hold on. Are these actual Pokemon?
Yes, that you can catch in the game.
Okay. Because this would have nothing to do with the Bible creation story. This would be more of an Egyptian creation story.
Well, correlation
Ancient
of
Egypt.
Well, God creating, with him being the Holy Trinity, creating all things, and then correlating that into Pokemon where they mirrored that from the Bible.
Okay, keep going.
Yes, God is the only single God. In Pokemon, they branch out. So, yes.
That's what. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm saying is
yes,
because in the Egyptian creation story, the starting point is there's a deity or one or two deities that are in the void, and they start procreating and creating other gods, and those other gods are the symbols of different creations. So like the Nile, the land. Trees and creation inside trees, biological creatures, all these things they're attributing to different gods that are the offspring of their parent god who created them, and they're the representation of the creation, and then they continue on and create other things. So that's why I was saying that, because in the creation story of Genesis, God is outside of all things. There is no time, matter, space, nothing.
Right.
And he, in the Holy Trinity, they, if you will, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, they create all things through speaking it into existence, and none of it has identity. It all has what God gives it.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I'm saying is it doesn't like I wouldn't use a parallel to the creation story from the Bible, because it sounds like there's individuals that represent.
So the better comparison on this, because it does actually kind of come back around, is they're not God, they're angels doing God's work.
Okay.
That would be a better correlation, because Giratina sins against Arceus, and Arceus banishes him to the distortion world, the hell.
Okay.
So that's
once again, got to be closer to.
Yes, I understand.
To the Egyptian, because God doesn't use any of his angels for creation.
No, he doesn't.
But you could correlate those to the Egyptian creation story.
It's not like,
because in that Horus, I'm not going to remember their names, but Anubis kills his brother, and that's like the sin against the creation, right? and the son of, I can't remember his name, who the sun god is, but I think it's, anyways, he kills him, and then Horus, his son, the son of the killed god, goes into an epic battle against Anubis and ultimately defeats Anubis and sends him to be the caretaker of the dead.
But one could argue that all of these inspirations come from biblical facts, though. People writing these Egyptian stories, writing the Greek mythology, it all stems from the truth, which is God.
I wouldn't say it stems from the truth. I mean, in a sense that it's trying to make sense of the truth.
Yeah.
But in a demonic way, sure. Because all these different religions that center around polytheism, a pantheon of gods, if you will, they have their own creation story. And it has to do with a plethora of gods coming into existence and battling each other and creating mischief and arguing and bickering and creating disorder and creating their own little kingdoms and this, that, and the other. And so that would be what it is. So the only connection it would have to the true creation story would be the fact that there was a beginning. You know?
Yeah.
That's really it. The demonic does not want to attribute anything to God, because then it would put people in submission to God. They're going to take things from the truth and distort it. So that's what I would say.
So to bring it back all around.
All right, sorry.
No, this is in a children's game.
Yeah.
So whether you agree with that correlation or not, it is taking aspects of biblical truths of a creation and warping it and putting it into a piece of media that is designed for children.
Was this your ending on the good note, or is this your bad?
This is my bad note.
Okay, all right.
But I'm not. I'll end on a positive.
Okay, go ahead.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That the entire point of us talking about this is, and that'll go into my positive note. It's a children's game, and there's so much more to it. And as parents, as guardians, as whoever, you're letting as adults playing Pokemon, as adults letting your children play Pokemon, you need to be aware of the content within these games.
For sure.
And knowing that, okay, it is more than a children's collectible game. There is so much more hidden in this stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I got you.
And then, so ending on my positive.
Well, hold on,
Oh, sorry. You got a negative?
We're exchanging. Well, I'm going to actually end on a negative, so I'm going to give my other positive.
Okay, do it. I'll let you do your positive, then your negative, and I'll end on my positive.
No, you need to end on your positive so that I can end on my negative. Because my negative, I know that my negative is going to combat your positive, so it doesn't make sense if I go first.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Is that okay? Are you going to be upset?
I'm going to cry.
Okay, we'll let you in. I'll go first. Okay, my positive is it's a fictional game. It's a fictional world. Like, they take inspiration from our world, just like every other fictional thing out there. But it's not real. It is made up, and it's made for the enjoyment of children to play a game. So that's the positive. You know, because, they made up this imaginary world. They focus the story on Kanto, which draws creation from the Japanese region Kanto, but it's not.
It's not a real place, but...
It's not a real place.
Every single Pokemon game is based off of a real place.
Yeah, it's based off of a real place, but it's not. It's
not a real
alternative. Yeah. And so, and all of the Pokemon, they're based off, or they gain inspiration from things in our reality, but it's in their fictional reality. And we've talked about like them taking inspiration from Eastern mythology, or as we would call it, demonic forces, but they also take inspiration from creatures in our world. Like, I wrote down Charmander is
a charred salamander,
a giant Chinese salamander. Yep.
Because he's a fire type and he's a salamander, so it's a charred
Charmander.
Magnemite.
Magnemite,
Yeah, boy.
takes inspiration from a magnet, an inanimate object.
It's literally a ball with 2 magnets on it.
Yeah. So
do you have electrode in there?
I do not have electrode in.
It's literally a ball. It's just a ball with eyes.
Yeah. And then the other one I had was Pikachu is based off of a mythological creature called Raiju, which is a kami. Am I saying that right?
Kami, yep.
Which is a kami. It's Japanese folklore, right?
All right. How do I remember it? Pika?
Pika.
Pika is, in Japanese, I believe, is mouse.
Okay.
And then Chu is the Japanese automatopoeia for the sound a mouse makes. So where we say mew, like, or sorry, not mew. So if we say squeak, they say chew.
Yeah. Okay.
So mouse noise. Pikachu.
Yeah. So it gets in. So Raiju, the kami, is a deity that can turn itself into a squirrel-like creature, but can also turn into a ball of electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, literally just taking. It's just,
yeah.
And that's how all of them are. They're literally taking whatever their inspiration is and just making
a creature
out of it. There's not really any big difference from whatever they're inspired from.
Right. It's all very basic designs.
Like what's the one was it's the duck something.
Psyduck?
Psyduck. It looks like a platypus and its inspiration is a platypus.
Mm-hmm. And it's a psychic duck. Psyduck.
A psychic duck. Yeah. Psyduck.
So platypus.
Maybe platypuses are psychic. We should do some research into that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know next part.
Or tune in next week when we find out if ducks are psychic.
Yeah. All right. Do you want me to go ahead and give my negative?
No, I'll give my positive.
Are you sure? I
promise I won't cry.
I feel like I hurt your inner child.
You did. This is my episode.
Sorry.
No. So something that we always talk about every single time we talk about these properties that are a little bit controversial, whether it be Harry Potter or watching Disney movies or whatever.
Wow, way to throw them all. Every single Disney movie.
Every single Disney movie in the last 10 years.
Okay.
No. But you know what I mean. Every single property that we've talked about on the show.
Yeah.
Christians can enjoy entertainment that does not lead them into sin.
Yeah.
Pokemon, for many, is a harmless form of storytelling and strategy. It's a strategy game.
Yeah.
For example, games like Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Go encourage exploring nature and appreciating God's creation through digital means. Players often marvel at landscapes in the games, mirroring the beauty of the natural world.
Yep.
Pokemon can provide a relaxation and stress relief, which can be beneficial for mental well-being. As we said, as always, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, so whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God.
Okay. You didn't have a soundbite for that?
What?
Is your soundbite for later?
I don't have any. Oh, I'll play that later.
Okay. All right. That's why I thought this was going to combat what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Do you want me to play the funny soundbite first, and then you can have your...
Maybe I'm wrong now. Maybe I don't know what you're playing. I thought you were going to be playing the bit from the
episode?
the TV.
Yeah, I'll play it right now.
Okay.
So this is, to me, very humorous, right? So there is an episode of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it's about a 30-second clip or so. I'm going to play it real quick.
Okay.
Let's see. Nothing but ocean in every direction, and no way to tell which direction to go.
I remember the story of Noah, who, when he had to find dry land, sent a bird to find it and return with a branch.
What a great idea! We're gonna do the same thing as Noah.
You heard it here first, folks. Noah's in the Pokemon. That means God is real in Pokemon.
That's right. So that's my argument against it.
Yeah.
Okay. So just because things of the world incorporate truths we find in Scripture does not mean that therefore it is scriptural. Okay. And my example for that is...
And that can go back to my point before where even though has some aspects of the Bible within it.
Yeah.
Like, a deity, a trinity, a flood. Because one of my other points was there is a flood in the Pokemon game where 2 Pokemon fight and it floods the earth.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just because there's aspects of different points in the Bible.
Yeah.
Does not make it scriptural.
Yeah. And so I go to Matthew chapter 4. It's 4:1 through 11. This is when Jesus is in the wilderness fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, and he's confronted by Satan to be tempted. Let's see, it's verse 6. And he said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." So that's Satan, and he is quoting scripture to Jesus to tell Jesus why Jesus should test God and to prove that Jesus truly is the Son of God. And Jesus' response is, Jesus said to him, "Again, it is written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." So there you go. It's Satan. Satan knows scripture.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in darkness, and there are a lot of things that are the servants of the darkness that will use truths from the Bible and distort them and use them as an argument against whatever they're trying to say, right? So it's our job to know God's word. It's our job to know the context of God's word. That way we can combat whenever a wolf in sheep's clothing tries to come alongside and lead the flock astray. So a little plug, shameless plug here. That's why it's important for people to inductively study the Word of God. So if you want to know how to inductively study the Word of God, reach out to us, saintsthatserve@gmail.com. We are putting together the resources now. We actually have a course going on right now. It's a 4-week course that we're doing in person in our community, but we're putting together all of the information. So we'll have notes and eventually we'll have videos, hopefully.
If you can get your camera to work.
Yeah, I give them camera to work. But no, we'll have videos and we'll have notes and walkthroughs and we'll explain how to inductively study God's word, and we'll give you step-by-step ways to accomplish that. And we'll have handouts and things like that you can utilize to be able to approach God's word with confidence and get the context out of it, so that if anyone ever confronts you and tries to use the word to
manipulate the word,
manipulate
or
or
prove their point, but it's not correct.
Correct. You'll have the ammo to be able to stand for truth. So anyways, okay, shameless plug over. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Seriously, you can enjoy something.
Yeah, I think it comes back around to what we've said before is you're not going to hell because you play Pokemon, but you need to be in touch with the Holy Spirit. And whatever the Spirit convicts you of, humble yourself to that. If you're not feeling convicted, then I don't know if it's necessarily something you need to be like, am I just not a Christian because I don't feel convicted about this? I don't think it's that. But make sure you're testing all things against the Spirit and against the truth of God, and try to walk in that. Because things like we've talked about with Pokemon, you can build good relationships with people by playing the game. And that's an opportunity to be a testament and a witness to them. My biggest argument against Pokemon, and we didn't really explicitly go into this, my thing is I do not think it's wise for Christian children to be playing Pokemon because of the doors that could be opened. And they're not necessarily mature in the Spirit to practice the discernment to say no. And so it could be opening in doors for spiritual conditioning that the demonic forces will use, right? And so as Christian parents, it's our job to practice that spirit discernment for our kids. So as an adult, where you've got the ability to be mature in the Spirit and you know when you're being convicted, I think there's a little bit more freedom, I guess you could say, in that aspect. But as a child, I would very strongly walk very carefully and be very, very controlled over what your kid plays. Let's not limit it to Pokemon. Let's put it for everything.
Didn't you tell me that the reason why you stopped letting Bigfoot play Fortnite and the reason why you cut Fortnite out of your family, this is long after I stopped playing it, was that there was a feature they added that you have to sell your soul or something to that effect?
Essentially, the idea of one of the seasons, there's a special character that you can go to, and he's sitting on a golden throne, and you essentially, I do in air quotes, sell your soul, and they give you like a beefed up weapon. But it's imaging, sell your soul to Satan, and he'll give you the greatest desires of your heart or whatever. But it really was a very close imagery of a satanic environment, like the things that they were decorating it with and all that stuff. So yeah, we just stepped away from the game entirely, which, you know, kind of a bummer because it's a fun game.
Yeah.
And we have some, I mean, you and I have some investment.
Yeah, we put a lot of money in Fortnite.
We put money into Fortnite. So it kind of sucks, but it's
And again, that's a children's game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be for kids, like young teens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bummer, but the reality is the creators of the game, opened the door to the demonic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we as Christians are pulling back because we don't want that influence in our home.
Yeah. So a little bit of defense on Pokemon to a degree.
Pokemon.
A lot of the things that made it deities and gods and creation and hell and all this stuff was not in the first 2 or 3 generations of the game. It was years down the line before they started adding these things.
Yeah.
From the get-go, it was pretty bare bones basic. You're just walking around trying to get Pokemon and become the Pokemon champion.
Yeah. So the first 151 Pokemon that Game Freak created, the lore of the creation wasn't there, right? It was just the game, right?
It was just the game. It was just this world, and they are just animals. They're not deities or anything like that. And there was there was one that was genetically modified, and that was the one you wanted to get. You know what I mean?
I remember when I was doing my research that Mew in the game was a joke. Like one of the designers, he put it in there as a practical joke, and they ran with it.
And so it was actually the first 150, and Mew came into play later on as the 151st Pokemon.
Yeah.
Even so, Mewtwo, ironically, was 50. Mew is 51. 151.
Okay. I just remember reading it, and they were like, yeah, this one designer guy, he put it in there as a practical joke on the other guys, and it ended up just staying as a glitch. But then everybody wanted it, and
there was back then there was a lot of like lore that's passed down from kid to kid on the playground type thing.
Yeah.
So it's that Mew was under a truck in one of these levels because of something that word was hidden in a library somewhere. Like, oh, the Pokemon Mew. Oh, he's under this truck, and everybody thought that this Pokemon was under this truck. It never was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
There you go. Crazy things.
So yeah, Pokemon, it's fun to play and it's fun to collect, but don't let it engulf your soul.
Yeah, because it could become a very financial. You could spend a lot of money on Pokemon. Yeah.
So.
And a lot of time. You could spend a lot of time.
A lot of time.
I spent 2 hours today and I barely scratched the surface.
Oh, it's okay. There is over 1,000 Pokemon now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
There's a lot, and I've caught them all.
You've caught them all?
No.
You've coughed them all?
So,
should we create the Christian Pokemon?
There's already a Pokemon called Coughing.
No, I'm saying, should we create the Christian version?
What's that?
I don't know.
Gotta banish them all?
Gotta exorcise them all? Oh, they've already got that with the game we talked about last time, the Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
The Unholy Trinity or whatever.
All right. So, hey, bud.
Hey.
You want to transition?
Hey, Tyler.
We're going to transition.
So this is your transition, Tyler.
Step inside, if you dare. Shadows move, mysteries whisper, and the unknown awaits. Welcome to The Corner.
I'm actually really excited for this because this is Jairus' first corner.
I've had a corner before.
No,
Really?
this is your first one.
This is my corner.
Yeah.
Wow. So we talked about it already earlier in the podcast. We're talking about yokai.
Yokai.
So yokai are supernatural creatures from Japanese mythology, often portrayed as spirits, demons, or mischievous entities. They vary greatly in form and behavior. Some are malevolent, while others are more playful and protective. Stories of yokai have been passed down through generations, serving as a cautionary tale or explanation for unexplained phenomena. Many Pokémon are directly inspired by these mythical beings. So let's...
I have a question for you. And if you don't have the answer, that's fine. But in Japanese culture and folklore, they use the term demon to describe a spiritual creature, but they don't view it as the Christians would, right?
No.
The demon is not an outcast fallen angel from God's presence.
No. So a better way to view it, even though I think it's spelled D-E-M-O-N, M-O-M?
Yeah.
D-E-M-O-N, sorry.
Yeah.
It's more pronounced daemon.
Daemon.
So I think the only other thing I've personally seen that has quote-unquote daemons in it, and it confused the heck out of me, is the Golden Compass, which is also something we should probably talk about at some point. We should have an episode that's strictly devoted to Christian media controversies.
Okay.
One like large media thing like Harry Potter, Pokemon, the Golden Compass was a major one, the Da Vinci Code.
I remember that.
A lot of like major Christian community issues.
Yeah.
So look forward to that episode because I just came up with that on the spot and I think that's a great idea.
There we go.
Episode 30. No.
Let's do it. Anyways.
So they view them, it's a demon, but like you said, they don't view demons as a demonic presence. It's just more of a spiritual being.
But leans more towards like mischievous.
Yes.
Evil.
They're
not necessarily like evil all the time, but
it's just more of just the same way that we use the phrase ghost. We all know that ghost.
So we could say like chaotic neutral.
That would be probably the closest because I think there is good yokai, there's bad yokai, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I love how we went to a D&D referencing chart when neither of us played D&D.
Maybe one day, JK, we're Christians. I'm kidding. So what I did was, I got a list of 10 Pokemon.
Okay.
And then I have the yokai inspiration to that Pokemon. We don't have to hit them all.
Okay.
But
you mean we don't have to
catch them all? But these to me are really interesting.
Okay.
Because a lot of these are you were talking about, the correlation, this guy, he could recognize the Pokemon and the inspiration to it. Some of these are very close, and some of these is like you have to squint your eyes and tilt your head, but it's like you get it.
Yeah.
So the first one we're looking at is Jinx. And Jinx is inspired by Yami Uba. A mountain witch known for her supernatural powers and eerie appearance. Much like Yami Uba, Jinx has an unsettling yet enigmatic presence. So I'm gonna read 2 of these to you.
Okay.
And then so you can look at the pictures afterwards and not be surprised.
Okay.
So, because I have pictures.
Hey.
And anybody listening on the audio podcast, these pictures will be on a video version of this episode. I will put forth the effort and have these pictures ready.
So you can listen on YouTube, or you can go over to YouTube and look, and you can see the pictures. Is this something we could upload to the website too? In the notes, maybe? Picture? I don't know if we could do pictures.
We can't. I don't think so. Not right now.
Sorry, guys.
So the other one, this one is, so between the two, one is kind of like, okay, I can kind of see that. And the other one's like, yeah, spot on.
Okay.
So the other one is the Pokemon Ninetales. And that is modeled after the kitsune, a magical fox spirit that gains tails as it grows older. Kitsune are often seen as shapeshifters, sometimes appearing as beautiful women. Ugh. A characteristic...
Yuck.
Ew. A characteristic Ninetales also shares in its lore. So that top one is Jinx next to the Yamakuna, whatever it was. And then the Kune.
Yamauba and Kitsune. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So
Ninetales, so the Kitsune is a shapeshifter. Okay.
Which in a lot of anime, you also see a lot of inspiration on that yokai.
Yeah. We need to get into North American shapeshifters because we've got to talk about skinwalkers and stuff.
That can be yours next week, but this is my segment today.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but my point, but my point with that is like, I don't think we can do just a corner segment. Like
if you want a whole episode,
so much like we've got to spend a whole, because we've got to watch Skinwalker Ranch and talk about that as a documentary, and like there's so much on skinwalkers.
So we'll just call it the unknown episode.
All right.
It's the episode where we dive deep into the unknown.
That's right.
What we've been promising we'd do, but
we haven't.
We haven't.
We haven't dived that deep.
So I'm not
going
to
cannonball into a kiddie pool.
So I'm not going to do Dust Noir.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about it when I hand you the paper, you can.
Dust Noir.
But I want to talk about Frostlass.
Okay.
Frostlass is derived from the Yuki Onna, a ghostly snow woman who haunts blizzards and preys on travelers. Frostlass's icy elegance and ghostly nature align closely with the Yuki Onna legend.
Why have I heard that before? Yuki Onna. I feel like I've heard that before. Yuki Onna.
Now we're going to move on to, this one is Shiftry. It resembles, the Pokemon Shiftry resembles the Tengu, a bird-like spirit with powerful abilities. Tengu are often seen as protectors of forests, which mirrors Shiftry's role as a guardian of nature. And what's crazy to me is how similar it actually is to the Pokemon.
Wow. That is funny.
It's like some of these is like, okay, maybe if you squint your eyes. And then on this one, it's just like, oh yeah, no, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's funny.
Which is crazy because it actually looks different if you look at them separate. But when you're looking at the inspiration, like, oh yeah, for sure that's what that was inspired by.
Yeah, when you put them side by side.
I like this one as well. Wishcash, the Pokemon, is modeled after the Namazu, a giant catfish believed to cause earthquakes. The Pokemon's earthquake attack in aquatic form directly linked to this mythological creature.
Yep. Hey, just so everybody knows, Jairus does not speak conversational Japanese. So,
Ohio.
He knows more than me, but Namazu,
Wishcash,
and Namazu.
And you can see but it's not hard to have a catfish looking creature.
Yeah. Yeah. Except their catfish has teeth. This one doesn't have any teeth.
Well, he's not smiling in that picture, so.
That's true. This one, the Japanese creature, he looks like Sonic. He's got them animated Sonic teeth. The original.
Oh, those teeth. You're talking about the movie Sonic.
Movie Sonic original
design.
That's the kind of teeth he's got for all the listeners out there.
And then
all the listeners that are in the know.
In the know. I'm in the know. So I want to end on Mawile.
Mawile.
Because of how creepy this one is, but how crazy accurate, how different the two are, but how you can see the inspiration.
Yeah, yeah.
So Mawile, based on the Futakuchi Onna.
Futakuchi Onna?
That's the only time I'm saying that one.
Okay.
A woman cursed with a second mouth hidden in her hair. Mawile's design with jaws extending from the back of its head is a direct homage to this unsettling yokai.
Oh my gosh, dude. That's messed up.
But you see it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely see it. Definitely see the link.
So again, if you want to see these
Yuck.
pictures, go ahead and just head on over to the YouTube version of this episode.
And you can comment on the YouTube episode. So make sure you like and comment.
And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe.
And subscribe. We need all those things to happen on our YouTube channel.
Yes, please.
Because right now, my personal YouTube channel that I have zero commitment to is doing better than the Saints That Serve.
Something that you barely put work into, your personal stuff, and then you put hours of work into this.
Exactly. And mine, there is no work put into it. It's literally 15-second videos. And I just say something that I think would be funny or relatable in the moment. And people are viewing and liking that more than our YouTube that we put a lot of effort into.
Yeah. So yeah, that's yokai. That's the corner.
Yokai in the corner.
Yokai in the corner. So that's the corner.
Awesome.
But before we end the episode, I wanted to leave you with some Pokemon facts, like some weird Pokemon lore.
Could you just email it to me? I don't have a fax machine.
Yeah, okay. So this has been the Saints that no. So facts, FACT, not FAX. And it's sometimes, confused with a saxophone, the sax.
I'm the sax man.
So, the Pokemon episode. I'm going to read some. So Pokemon, like you said, they have the databases in the games and all the information in the lore and all that kind of thing.
All right.
So these are some related Pokemon lore stuff that is weird and creepy. Ooh. So again, kind of going back to kids should be playing this if this is like hidden lore in the game, but also interesting. So the Pokemon Yamask carries a mask that was once its human face, symbolizing its tragic past.
Yuck.
And then another Pokemon Phantom, said to be the spirit of a child who died in the forest. Its cries are believed to lure others to the same fate.
Which generation are these coming from?
A lot of these, let me see.
Because I feel like the first generation is like very surfacey and then now talking about other ones that are like someone just spent all day researching like dark.
So this spans from the Pokemon themselves, from the first one to the newest game.
Oh, okay.
But
so literally every generation.
Every generation, but just because it's that Pokemon from that generation does not mean this is its Pokedex entry and the lore of it in that game. Because later on they might have changed it.
Okay.
There's no way to really tell at this juncture, but it's spanning all Pokemon.
Yeah. That first one you read made me think of that episode in Avatar The Last Airbender when he has to go into the spiritual realm.
Sort of. So that's a picture of Yamask. The top one.
Yeah. But you remember I'm talking about that creature that's like the face snatcher or whatever? Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Ko or something like that was the name
I think
of it?
It was Ko.
I like that show.
That was a good show.
Benette.
Benette?
Mm-hmm.
Luigi Benette?
Do I?
Keep going.
Benette. Benette is formed from an abandoned doll. It seeks revenge on the child who discarded it.
Wow. Chucky much?
Chucky the doll. And I don't know if you saw it before, but...
Yeah. That's essentially what I would think Chucky would look like as a Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I haven't watched a single movie with Chucky in it. Well, no, that's not true because I watched Ready Player One. That had Chucky.
Chucky was in that movie.
Technically, Chucky was in that movie.
Me and Ashley went through all the Chucky movies.
Why do you keep on?
They're actually really funny.
Oh, okay.
They're not like spooky. Like they're like, it's horror comedy.
Yeah.
It's not. I think the closest one that would be a scary movie is the first one. But watching it, it's just like a doll jumping. I'm going, I'm going to get you. Yeah. It's like watching Leprechaun to me.
Oh, man.
So now we're talking about Kadabra. What?
Remember when we were going to make a comic book?
Oh, yeah.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. We might still do that
One day.
one day.
So don't take our idea, guys.
Mm-hmm. So Kadabra, its Pokedex states that it once was a boy who woke up transformed into a psychic Pokemon. So just randomly woke up, and now he's a Pokemon.
Psychic abilities.
So fun fact about Kadabra for decades, because Pokemon is that old at this point,
Yeah.
was not allowed to be put on Pokemon cards because they based his design around a famous Japanese psychic. Like he was like one of those guys who bend spoons, those kind of psychics.
Uh-huh.
Like a fake, obviously fake psychic.
Yeah. Well,
An entertainer.
yeah.
And he claimed that, you based your design off of me, and he sued Pokemon and won, so they couldn't use Kadabra anymore on Pokemon cards and promotional material and
What
toys.
the heck?
And that got lifted not too long ago, like last year,
Okay, show me a picture of it.
of Kadabra.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does this look like the dude?
Which one is it?
The top one,
Oh, because it has a spoon.
because it has a spoon.
No, dude.
That's something we'll have to look into another time.
Okay, not to
is-
throw shade on the Japanese court system, but that's pretty silly.
I think that the symbol on its stomach is also a symbol that he utilizes a lot.
Oh, okay.
So there's some small other things. He might have like a mustache and that kind of thing.
Still, that's like.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Anyways,
So I think I'm going to do.
you know what he should have done? He should have sued and tried to get royalty.
Royalties instead.
Pokemon. Any game that Kadabra is in,
He would get a percentage of sales.
he would get a percentage of sale.
No, he just didn't want the Pokemon around anymore. Yeah, he's kind of stupid. So moving on, we're going to talk about Drifloom.
Drifloom.
This one is like the one that comes to my mind every time I hear about bad, like dark Pokemon lore.
Okay.
And this Drifloom attempts to kidnap children by latching onto their hands, though it often fails due to its light weight. Essentially, it looks like a balloon. So kids grab a hold of it and will drift off with the kids.
Oh,
And that is in Pokemon lore.
jeez, dude.
Mimikyu wears a disguise resembling Pikachu to be loved, but anyone who sees its true form is said to meet a terrible fate.
Oh.
Yeah, and then there you go. There's Mimikyu.
Yep.
That is a newer Pokemon that people who like Pokemon have greatly attached to. There's a lot of like merchandise with Mimikyu on it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Gengar.
Gengar.
Legend says it was once a human who turned into a ghost and now seeks companionship by pretending to be shadows. So it was a person who died, I guess,
Okay.
who turned into a ghost and now seeks companionship by pretending to be shadows.
Isn't Pokemon, though, like the idea is that if you collect a certain amount of them, you can merge them together to create an evolution of that Pokemon?
No.
That's just Pokemon Go.
No, yeah. So okay. So Pokemon in the games, you just battle them and they level up, and when they hit certain levels, they evolve into the next stage, which is something we didn't actually talk about.
Okay.
Funny
Yeah,
enough.
we didn't talk about gameplay.
No, we didn't talk about evolution in Pokemon
Oh, yeah.
at all. Yeah.
You know, everybody knows it's not real.
Yeah. So in Pokemon Go, you get a bunch of the Pokemon, and then to level up Pokemon in Pokemon Go, you get the other ones, and then you get a material that allows you to then level up your Pokemon. That is a very specific mechanic in Pokemon Go and not in any other Pokemon media.
Yeah. Yeah, because you remember when we played Pal World,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know,
Something we didn't talk about either, but
we didn't talk about it at all, but like that was a big thing in Pal World is if you collect a bunch of one kind of a pal,
yeah,
just slap them all together and then you can
get a stronger pal.
You can
Yeah.
upgrade your pal.
That is something also very specific in Power World, which is funny because I guess from the two things that Pokemon-esque games that you've played, that No, it's about collecting and really keeping the one Pokemon once you collect it.
Yeah.
You can get multiple ones, but there's no getting rid of it to put gain on another Pokemon.
Sure. Gotcha.
So, Lampent.
Is it a lamp?
It is. It steals the life force from people, often lingering around hospitals to harvest souls.
That's really dark, but before you were going to say that, I was going to say it just sounds like a Christian cuss slang. Like, Lampent.
Lampent.
Gross.
So, now we're going to talk about Frostlass. These get like progressively darker, in my opinion.
It sounds like it.
Frostlass, we looked at Frostlass earlier as one of the yokai.
Yeah.
It freezes its victims and displays their frozen bodies as chilling decorations.
In what? Its house?
In its cave on the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quote-unquote house.
Yes, they've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a garage.
And if you come over here, you can see this hiker I killed last week.
Great access to trails in the local area, so not far to transport any of my victims.
And then we're going to end on the saddest one.
Okay.
Cubone.
Cubone?
Mm-hmm. Cubone wears the skull of its deceased mother and is known to cry at night, mourning its loss.
That's pretty sad.
It is. It's really sad. So sad. So very, very sad.
I don't know what to do there. I don't know.
I'm just bringing the sadness.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a...
Hey, thanks for joining me on my Pokemon episode.
Hey, thanks for letting me be here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for contributing.
I tried.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
No, it was good information. And I mean, I think that like everything you've presented, it's the two sides that we're trying to get at. Like, you need to be cautious, you need to be concerned, and you need to stay focused on making sure you're pursuing Christ. But you got to realize that Pokemon is an enjoyable hobby that people have.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't just look at somebody and say, Satan worshiper, like you've got to approach it with gentleness and with love and, really bring the truth of Christ's love into somebody's life.
Right.
Before you get into the, is that really beneficial for you? Is that really building you up? Kind of deal. So yeah, all around, I feel like that was a pretty good conversation.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, as a listener, I'll ask you this question, but also listeners, who won the argument? What side do you think it lands on? Do you think that it's okay for Pokemon to be played based off our evidence, or do you think that it shouldn't be played for Christians playing Pokemon? Yes or no?
Yeah, we want to hear what your input is. And if there were things that you wanted to bring to the argument, points that you have for or against, you should comment those so that we can see what your points are, because we will respond.
10 points to Gryffindor.
There we go. But yeah.
So what's your final verdict?
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't change my mind. I'm not playing Pokemon.
Yeah, same here. You didn't change my mind. I'm not going to stop playing Pokemon.
Okay.
As a Christian an adult Christian, I have discerned that it is not interfering with my spiritual well-being.
There you go. That's fine.
And that's fine.
All I'm going to do is going to challenge you when it seems like you're not pursuing Christ. So as long as you're pursuing Christ and it's evident, we're good, friend.
Like I said, I pull out that game every day on my phone and I collect some Pokemon cards digitally, and then I move on with my life.
Yep. And you pull your Bible out just as much.
Yeah.
So there you go. No problem.
If not more.
If not more, people, keep that in mind. The Jairus standard is equal to more. Equal and or more. There we go.
Not less.
Not less. That's right. All right. Well, this has been episode 28.
29.
No, this is 28.
I know. I was seeing if I could catch you off guard.
You almost did. Anyways, episode 28. Talked about Pokemon. Had a good time. We're looking forward to the next one. And once again, guys, make sure you're following us on social media. We're going to be posting updates on our live worship night coming April 4th at 7 p.m. Be there.
early at 6:30 to chat with us in the chat.
Yeah. All right. Well,
You have to be there no matter what.
yeah, you have to show up. It's mandatory.
Mandatory. If
Yep.
you don't show up and we see that you're watching, John will hunt you down and catch you like a Pokemon.
I'm going to throw a Pokeball through your screen and catch you.
I do feel like that we didn't really talk. Like we went into the lore of Pokemon, but didn't really talk about the mechanics as much as we should have. Maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe another time. Maybe we'll do a Pokemon part 2.
Christ is Lord.
And the kingdom is now
We are
the saints that serve. I want to be the very best. I don't remember the rest. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. I know it's my destiny. I'm just saying random words that I know from the song. Something, 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 something. Pokemon, Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all.